retires were talking about naughty acts in cafe. When they finish, the two retires pay their bill and leave the cafe. A young man sitting next to them has overheard the conversation and smiles to himself, thinking it would be quite amusing to see two old retires going at it. He gets up and follows them. Sure enough, he sees the two retires near the factory. The little old lady pulls off her panties and lifts up her dress. The old man pulls down his pants and grabs the lady's hips, and the little old lady then reaches for the fence. Well, what follows is 40 minutes of the most athletic acts the man has ever seen. The little old man is banging away at the little old woman at a pace that can only be described as phenomenal. Limbs are flying everywhere. The movement is a blur and they do not stop for a single round. Finally, they collapse and don't move for an hour. The man is stoned. Never in his life has he ever seen anything that equates to this, not in the movies, not from his friends, not from his own experience. Reflecting on what he has just seen, he says to himself, I have to know his secret if only I could like that now, let alone in 50 years' time. The two old retires have by this time recovered and dressed themselves. Gathering the court, he approaches the older man. He says, Sir, in all my life I have never seen anybody screw like that, particularly at your age. What's your secret? Could you scroll like that 50 years ago? The retired replies, Son, 50 years ago. A young couple had been married for a couple of weeks, but the man was always asking his wife to quit smoking. One afternoon, she lit up after some love making, and he said, You really should quit. She, getting tired of his nagging, said, I really enjoy a good cigarette after eggs. He replied, But they stunt your growth. She asked if he ever smoked, and he replied that he never had. Smiling and lifting her gaze to his groin, she said, A man walks into a bar and says, Gigi, gimme a BB beer. The bartender says, Seems as though you've got a major drink problem. The man replies, no, I didn't. The bartender says, I used to stutter, but my wife cured me. One afternoon, she gave me an oral X 3 times in a row, and I haven't stuttered since. The man says, WW, wow, Dada, that's great too. No. A week later, the same man walks into the bar and says, Jimmy, a beer. The bartender says, Why didn't you try what I told you? I did, said the man. It just didn't work. But I must say, you have a really A man meets a gorgeous woman in a bar. They talk, they connect, and they end up living together. They go back to her place, and as she shows him around her apartment, he noticed that her bedroom is completely packed with teddy bears. Hundreds of small bears are on a low shelf, medium-sized ones on a shelf a little higher, and huge bears on the top shelf. The man is kind of surprised that this woman would have a collection of teddy bears, especially one that's so extensive, but he decides not to mention this to her. After a night of passion as they are lying together in the afterglow, the man rolls over and asks, smiling, "Well, how was it?" The woman says, "You can have any A guy is walking along a beach when he comes across a lamp partially buried in the sand. He picks up the lamp and gives it a rub. Two genies appear and they tell him he has been granted 3 wishes. The guy makes his 3 wishes and the genies disappear. The next thing he knows, he is in a bedroom in a mansion surrounded by 50 beautiful women. He makes love to all of them and begins to explore the house. Suddenly, he feels something soft under his feet. He looks down and the floor is covered in $50 bills. Then there is a knock at the door. He answered the door and standing there are the 2 genies. They drag him outside to the nearest tree, throw a rope over a line, and hang him by the neck until he is dead. As the genies walk off, one genie says to the other one, "Hey, I can understand the first wish having all these beautiful women in a big mansion to make love to. I can also understand him wanting to be a millionaire, but to be A man out shopping bought some new condoms. When he got home, his wife noticed the brand, Olympic condoms. What makes them so special? She asked. There are 3 colors, he replied, gold, silver, and bronze. What color are you going to wear tonight? She asked. Gold, of course, said the man. Really? She said. Why don't you wear silver? It would be nice if you came second for a change. A man goes into a shop and starts looking around. He sees a washer and dryer, but there are no prices listed on them. He asks a salesman, who says $5 for both of them. You've got to be joking. The man says, no, that's the price. The salesman says, do you want to buy them or not? Yeah, I'll take them. He continues to look around and sees a car stereo system with a detachable face castle player, a CD changer, amplifier, and speakers. How much? He asked. $5 for the system including installation. The salesman said. Is it stolen? The man asks incredulously. No, says the salesman. It's brand new. Do you want it or not? Certainly, the man says. He looks around some more. As the salesman is ringing up the purchase, the man asks him, why are your prices so cheap? The salesman says, well, the owner of the shop is at my house right now with my wife. And what he's doing to her, I'm doing to his business.